Hey, if you enjoy this type of topical conversation, please join me at my Rumble channel. The link is in the description. It's free, and over there they offer us a lot more freedom to talk about whatever we want. Well, folks, the mobs are really upset with Dave Chappelle again. Doggone it. And this time they're super serial about it, and they're going to do something. They're going to make a difference. They're going to make people understand that this is a bad man. Nah, that none of that's going to happen. But basically, what took place is the community that Dave Chappelle lives in Ohio, a developer came in and there were plans to build a significant number of single family homes, but as well as a bunch of like condos, duplexes, that type of multi-family structures as well. Dave didn't want all those multi-family structures to be built. Now, like all of these stories, there are a lot of shades of gray. There's a lot of information coming in bits and pieces. So it doesn't really matter why he didn't want them to be there. Some people are saying it's because where they're building them, they were actually using the fact that you could look out at Dave Chappelle's house as a selling point. I see where that would make you uncomfortable. But even if that had nothing to do with it, the fact is, Dave lives there. He chose to live there for whatever reasons he decided made it appealing to him. And if he thinks that having these multi-family homes or this lower income housing makes it less desirable for him to live there, then he has every right to state that objection. And what he did was he said he would pull the $65 million in investment he has in that region out if they build it. He has every right to do that too. From what I've been able to read, what I've been able to understand, he does a lot within that community. He spends a lot of money within his own community. Now, of course, the mobs are wildly upset with Dave because he's doing this just because he hates poor people. And where are the poor people going to live? Not here, because the council voted on it and they voted not to include the low income housing element of it or the multiple family dwellings element of it. That's how the system works. Now, the council could easily have swung the other way. Dave Chappelle was not the only one who objected to it. There were a lot of people at the meeting that felt that way as well. And that's how the local governments work. They have elected officials. Those elected officials try and represent the wants and desires of the people who elected them. And they came to the conclusion, whether it was because of Dave's threat to pull out his financial support or whether it was other things, it doesn't matter why. It's not going to get built there. And now the mobs will tell you, well, I understand how the system works, but it still makes him a shitty person. Well, that's your opinion. Fact is, outside of your own echo chambers, nobody really cares about your stupid opinion anyway. And if you want to think Dave Chappelle is a shitty person, go ahead. I'm sure he doesn't care. I'm sure the vast majority of the world doesn't care. See, what this is just another case of, it's really kind of ironic. When you think about it, these mobs are mad at Dave Chappelle for using his influence to accomplish a goal, which is to not have these properties built. These same mobs attempted to use their influence to cancel Dave. In other words, to have him removed from Netflix, but they failed. That's where their real ire lies, is that it's another time where they get slapped in the face with the reality of they don't have any influence. Because people gather together on a social media platform and pat one another on the back for being the finest of the fine citizens and fighting the good fight, it doesn't mean any of that has actually taken place or that anybody else in the world takes you seriously in any way, shape, or form at all. And when it comes time for the proof to be in the pudding, or however you want to put it, you always lose. Just like you lost in trying to cancel Dave. His specials are still on Netflix. They still do wonderfully on Netflix, and Dave is a very rich man and somebody that a large number of people enjoy going to a concert and watching him perform. He's successful. You aren't. That makes you upset. You didn't like the jokes he told. You wanted something to be done about it. He laughed at you and said no. I I'm not going to apologize. These are the jokes I tell. These are the way I feel about things. And the mobs don't want that to take place. They need to silence anybody who doesn't toe the line. And in Dave's case, it doesn't happen, and that just really makes him upset. And then he has the gall, the absolute unmitigated gall, to go and rub it in their face by proving that, yes, he does have influence and you have none. Doesn't matter why Chapelle didn't want those units to be built. Whether he had what might be seen by some as a good reason because it would be an invasion of his privacy, or if it's just because he likes his community the way it is and he doesn't feel that will be a positive addition to his community. Doesn't matter why. He's got the right to voice his opinion. He's got the right to spend the money where he wants. That's how you get influence. Sitting at home, typing furiously away on your computer or your device, telling the world how you are the moral superior and you are the one who should guide everyone into the morality of life, you're actually just kind of a goofball surrounded by a bunch of other goofballs patting one another on the back. And that mutual masturbation really doesn't get you anywhere as far as any real life influence. Good for Dave. Hey, he didn't want this to take place, and so it's not going to take place. He's got influence. The mobs don't.